Thank you all for joining our second webinar meetup this year as part of Visa Innovation Program. I'm Kalogerakis, Chief Innovation Officer at Crowdpolicy, and I would just like to kickstart with some thoughts on the fintech new frontiers, and I will bring some context in today's agenda, which I think you will find very, very interesting with all our speakers and panelists. So let's start by looking very quickly at the stages in the financial sector. For centuries, everything was based in brick and mortar interactions, based on trust. That's the fundamental element that will stay forever. It's nothing, it will stay forever in the financial sector. Then around the 80s, the online came in the picture. So we had another kind of level of convenience. And now in the third stage, we could put it as an API-based new stage, a new era of finance based on application programming interfaces. That have become actually the engine of a total transformation of how financial services are delivered and perceived. And in this high modular way, the APIs are gradually eating the world of finance, as they say, and they're pushing the boundaries of and the frontiers of finance. And it's all about user experience. This is the main element in this era. User experience and how a player can orchestrate new kinds of multi-layer platforms. And here we can see different types of APIs that create new territories. So you can have APIs for systems connectivity. You can have APIs for enterprise mobility, for omni-channel enablement, for partner collaboration, and of course, public APIs. And around all these new terms called, you have heard banking as a service, open finance, and embedded finance, are all API based, and all are driven and leveraged by the toolbox of the fourth industrial revolution: cloud, AI, blockchain, IoT, and big data. And this has enabled new kind of use cases, new business models across all verticals, from agriculture to telecom to energy to travel, to all verticals, basically. And Dr. Salabas, in our previous webinar, noted that we're talking about integration of financial services into all non-financial provider solutions. So some examples, just to provide some examples of what's happening in this direction. You can see fintechs like Square, Stripe, and Shopify leveraging APIs across the value chain of the financial supply chain, besides having proprietary tools. Also, big techs like Amazon is using APIs for delivering new kind of services. And of course, there are many banking as a service core players like Solaris Bank and Bankable that provide their platforms to other players. And collaboration platforms like Visa Innovation Program, where you have all these players coming together from the fintech startups, first of all, the POC partners, Visa partners, the banks, and VCs, collaborating and bringing new use cases to the market, innovative use cases to the market, is something that is key these days. So we're totally finding new frontiers in fintech, as you can see here, a picture from Mars, which is very, very contemporary and recent. And probably we're talking about new planets in fintech, like DeFi, like decentralized finance, which we are still in the very beginning. And we are delighted to have with us Dr. Glyptis, Leda, with us, and she's a renowned expert in writer, speaker, academic in banking and fintech, and she will talk about platform economics for the home. Then George Karamanolis, our very own George Karamanolis, will talk about smart cities as a new frontier. After George, we'll have Sabina Babayeva from Hackquarters, Gergana Stoitchkova from 11, and of course, Vicky Foteinou, discussing about the Visa Innovation Program and how it works as a collaborative platform and how it brings growth for fintechs. Right after, we have a very interesting panel regarding the new financial landscape and the transformations happening with high-level executives. We have Athina Chatzipetrou, President and Chief Executive Officer of Hellenic Development Bank, Yiannis Papakostas, Assistant General Manager, Head of Group Digital Transformation, Eurobank, Agamemnon Papastergiou, Senior Director, Digital Banking and Innovation, Alpha Bank, Panagiotis Divriotis, Chief Retail Officer in Attica Bank, and of course, Andreana, Pappas, Head of Visa Greece, who will have a very interesting discussion on how this new transformation is happening, especially post-COVID. And we will close with use cases from 3 alumni from Visa Innovation Program: Elena Vadagelou from Giving Streets, Nicholas Palagias from Codible, and Evangelos Rosetos from Simply, who will present also their work and what they're doing beyond fintech. So that's it on my part, and I would like to start, and I'm actually very anxious to hear Leda Glyptis, Dr. Leda Glyptis, with her keynote on the platform economics. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for having me.
Of course, you can have in the Q&A, you can put your questions, and after I think the presentation, we can take some questions during this first section, and during other sections, it's an open to all questions during all sections. So thank you, Leda.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
This is the 101 of Zoom calls. Can everyone see my screen? So first of all, thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for giving me so much freedom in picking a topic. And of course, too much freedom had me going down a variety of avenues, because being a renowned academic speaker and banker, as you described me, also means I've been in this game for a very long time. That's what makes you the expert, having gone through it. So if I think back to the last 15 years of all of us struggling with digitization, struggling with what felt like new frontiers almost every day, and those frontiers kept going further and further out. What have we done well? What have we done badly? Where are we today? And I want to talk about platform economics that brings together some of the stuff that Kostas already touched on, and some of the options and challenges that we're presented with as bankers. And I'm going to try and keep it quick. We'll have some time for questions, but of course, questions and observations, even after the session, as you digest them, please feel free to reach out to me directly or via the organizers. So let's start with the basics. Platform economics, what are we talking about? I am talking about the idea of the platform economy, right? The idea that digital platforms create and facilitate social and economic activity through either matchmaking or acceleration. When platform economics first appeared, we all thought they were the keys to the kingdom, right? But the reality is, before we understood what platform economics were, we had to understand what APIs were. And those of you who are roughly the same age as me know that explaining to banking decision makers 10, 15 years ago what APIs were was an exceptionally difficult exercise. We once did it via the medium of ice cream. Happy to tell you the story some other time. And the only reason that we managed, at least in my case, managed to get stakeholders excited about the possibilities of platform economics, the possibilities of APIs was platform economics, was the fact that we started being able to articulate value generating, revenue generating capability that was within reach. So when we started talking about these digital matchmaking transaction platforms that were now possible in this digital world, to a banker, it sounded like the keys to the kingdom. But that doesn't mean it was easy or possible to imagine. So after we got all excited about platform economics, the question of what is that when it's at home came up. And the reality is we could all point to platform businesses. We could all point to platform businesses that were inspiring and exciting and scary and huge. And if I had a penny for every time I heard that something would be the Uber of something, I would be a very rich woman retired on an exotic island. The reality was that we started as an industry understanding that platform economics was about connectivity, interdependence, and reach. The platform was all about piecing things together. It created a dependence we weren't necessarily happy about as bankers, but it amplified reach. So platform economics, we understood, is not about a single business model. It's not about a single pathway to monetization and success. It gives options, but it gives options through that connectivity and interdependence. All of that makes perfect sense until you try to apply it to standard banking business model. Because the reality when we heard about platform economics is that we filtered it very heavily through our personal and industry experiences. And what did we hear, say, 10 years ago when platform economics were first talked about? We heard that digital, whatever you choose to understand by that, is inevitable. We heard that we have to go down this path because the regulator demands it, because the clients demand it, because it is the future. We also heard that disintermediation is possible. And in fact, those of us who have been in this game for long enough, we know that the vast majority of conversations about APIs, about digital transformation, about platform economics inside big banks in the last decade and a half started and ended with a fear of disintermediation. So in this world where the digital future was inevitable and disintermediation was a danger, platform economics became a potential answer to a very undesirable future. Platform economies sounded to your average banker highly desirable because they sound big, and as bankers, we like big. We're not very good at monetizing artisanal things, but big we can make work. So as banks started going on the digital journeys in their different geographies, in their different segments, every single one of them was talking about platform economics. Every single one of them was trying to create this big, sticky, interdependent platform. The problem is that because of the traditional way of working inside our industry, the vast majority of those banking institutions ingested that into a simple fact of, well, to win this game, you have to be the platform. So a lot of consultants made a lot of money in trying to create those platform strategies for banks. A lot of CTOs banged their head against a brick wall trying to figure out how their bank could become the bank. I've worked for some of them over the years. We had endless meetings about what data analytics we could produce, what ecosystem connectivity we could produce to make our customers, retail and institutional, stay on our platform and spend more of their time on their platform and do more of their business on our platform, because we didn't know any other way of playing in the platform economic space other than by becoming the platform. And I had this experience within 4 or 5 different banks, and I know that this experience was almost universal. Now, why? The problem here is not that the only way to win at platform economics is to be the platform. The problem is traditional banking was not designed for sharing our toys, right? The traditional banking approach to anything, and particularly to change, as this journey started, was that banks are established, stable, venerable institutions. We are who we are, and the world comes to us. And for a very long time, and anyone here who is either a partner or a startup or a tech provider knows that the banks set the discussion of what, when, and how we will experiment with. And we spend a very long time sitting at our desks inside banks saying, well, if we are who we are and we are in control of our destinies, the future may be coming, but it will come in a way that is at least in our gift to control. So we spent time, and I mean serious amounts of time and money, trying to work out how to make this future that was coming at us work to our advantage. And the way most banks tried to decipher that was to turning themselves into the platform. Now, as a bank, it is very unusual, I won't say everyone because things are changing, but it is very unusual for banks not to suffer from what we affectionately call the not invented here syndrome. We have historically liked to build our own technology. We have historically liked to be in control of both the proposition and the stack underneath it. It has long been considered to be differentiating, even though it has not been true for a very, very long time. But the not invented here syndrome was a big problem in allowing banks to truly understand how platform economics can work. Because if you think about the big decision makers in their big desks, seeing the future coming their way, feeling in control, feeling that they should control whatever comes their way and be the provider, be the cornerstone, it put us in a position of trying to learn everything before we made choices. A habit that wasted us a lot of time before it got us to a point where I would say about 2-3 years ago for most banks, a bit earlier for some, we realized that this digital party, this party of platform economics and connectivity can happen without us being the banks. So the realization was that we have been trying to crack a nut that seemed big and juicy because it was big and juicy, without addressing the fact that the main things that make platform economics work, connectivity and interdependence, are two things the banks are not very good at. Being connected and dependent on others is something the banks were never particularly good at. Reach, however, was something we were always very good at. So you're seeing banks in recent years coming back to the drawing table with increasing pressure from the regulators and increasing pressure from their customers saying, how do I look at this question of what is possible in the platform economy as a 2.0 second attempt since my first one didn't work? The reality, however, is that we are not asking these questions with a clean bill of health and a clean sheet of paper. Because the last 15 years of dealing with fintech, if we start the clock on fintech with the creation of Zopa in the UK in 2005, we're neatly into our 16th year now. And most banks' early digitization efforts coincide with those dates. So if we spend most of that time trying to figure out how to be the winner, how to be the platform, how to be the digital provider, and making choices that we believed were entirely in our gift while trying to figure out the big question. What happened is that most banks have ended up looking a bit like this, and I did not design this cartoon, hence the attribution, but it is actually the most accurate description of bank infrastructure I have ever seen. So after 15 years of banks talking about how they will dominate the world's digital future, their digital estate mostly looks like this. A lot of shiny stuff at the top, a lot of boxy legacy stuff in the middle, and some stuff nobody understands right in the guts of the organization that could topple absolutely everything. Now, it doesn't take a genius to tell you that you cannot become the platform with infrastructure like this. And even if you were serious about becoming the platform back then, you have so much cleaning up to do now that ship, you could say, has most resolutely sailed. So, okay, what should have happened next, and what should we be thinking about now with the pressures of having made some false choices, some false start, and having wasted a lot of time. The three things that should have happened and didn't, and should happen now because we are running out of time, is taking a step back and thinking about infrastructure. And I don't just mean the infrastructure that will topple right here. I mean infrastructure of the financial services world. When Kostas described APIs earlier, if you didn't hear plumbing, if you didn't hear plug and socket, think again. Because what simple application programming interfaces, simple data sets traveling back and forth do to our world is that it completely changes the way it is wired. It completely changes the way things are connected. What nobody told the banks that thought they were in control of their universe and their destiny when this journey started is that once you start connecting things up, different things happen. And the realization that this world has arrived whether we liked it or not, and it needs to run on fully digital infrastructure or it doesn't run at all, means that the decisions that the banks thought were in their gift to make and in their own time to execute absolutely do not comply with that anymore. So the API first world of digital economics, of platform economics, needs all digital infrastructure all the way down. The banks do not have that. They have not invested in that. And unless they partner, build or buy fast, they're not only not going to be the platform, they're not even going to be on the platform. The second thing about platform economics is in the name. The clue is right there, and yet we ignored it. It's a different way of making money. Platform economics is not just the same old way of making money on different rails. It's a completely different way of making money where the interdependence and orchestration is actively monetized in a way that most banks have to learn, and in a way that undermines most of the ways we traditionally used to make money. So not only do you need to spend money on the infrastructure that allow you a ticket to the ball, you need to figure out how to make money in a way that has lower margin, lower distribution, higher repeatability, but smaller price tickets. And that in many ways has been the hardest thing, the thing that kept us back the longest, the thing that kept people thinking that there might be a bigger way, there must be a better way to win big with this platform play. The reality is there is. It just doesn't look like the way you used to make money before. The third thing that should have happened is that the bank should have taken a long, hard look at themselves and thought, do I even have brand permission to play in this new interconnected space of interdependence and interreliance? Am I someone other institutions will want to play with? Am I someone that the customers, institutional and otherwise, would see as someone who would be a good platform friend, a good platform provider, a good platform dependence to carry? These were questions that were hard enough that we could have spent 15 years on them and not gotten to the answer. Getting to them, I wouldn't say equally late for everyone, but I would say definitely late for everyone, means that the digital revolution that we have been waiting for all these years is yet to truly accelerate. For a variety of reasons, mostly driven by the regulator, but also by public demand. These now are the top of mind questions every bank is answering. There is no one who can avoid these anymore. There is no one who can pretend that we can answer a different exam question first. Now, it's not all bleak, because the reality when platform economics first appeared was that there were quite a few small banks, regional banks, banks that described themselves to me as being in toy economies, banks that didn't have a full stack of services or didn't have the sort of balance sheet that could take on the world. And they thought that they would be completely eaten up and superseded, made irrelevant by these platforms. But the reality is that the structurally disadvantaged, those who don't play big necessarily, might actually stand to be the biggest winners of our new connected platform world. And one of the biggest lessons, and one that I would love to leave you with as I'm coming to the end of my allotted time, is that very few will be the platform and as we're learning from 15 years of getting it wrong, is that the platform is highly unlikely to be the bank, but many will play on top of it. And those who play on top of it are increasingly teaching us that financial services in this connected platform economics world of us has stopped looking like what a traditional financial institution used to, with that monolithic stability and success measured in terms of size. It has taken a very, very long time to understand that platform economics in our industry doesn't mean disintermediation as much as specialization, fragmentation, and the success is actually not necessarily in being big, but in being small. And as we're facing into the sort of coming of age of fintech, as we're coming out, hopefully, the far end of COVID and many years of experiments that took blood, sweat, and tears from a lot of entrepreneurs and didn't necessarily accelerate as much as we would have liked them to, because they were at the mercy of a bank to say yes or no. What we're seeing with the rise of these platforms is that the shape of what it looks like to be successful is changing. Smaller is becoming viable exactly because of the platform. We got the exam question wrong, but that doesn't mean we will get the end of the story wrong. What we're seeing after 15 years of getting this wrong is that the opportunity of narrow play on a large stage actually comes with massive rewards, provided you understand how the economics work, how the infrastructure works, and what your own brand permission is in this space, where you don't need to own everything to make it work, but you need to play nice with the rest of the platform providers. So if what we've learned from 15 years of getting it wrong is that the best way to succeed in connected platform economies in banking is to stop thinking about what traditional financial institutions used to look like and think about what modern, truly digital financial services need to look like in order to make the most of that connectivity to deliver services. I'd love to hear what all of you would do next. I know we don't have time for that, but I genuinely would love to hear it. I hope there is a little bit of food for thought here for what comes next for the rest of this day. Thank you very, very much for your time. I've got 1 minute on the clock, so I think that's pretty good timekeeping on my part.
Yeah, thank you, Leda. Indeed, it was very thought-provoking, the whole presentation, and you were just on time. Since we have an audience that maybe there are some startuppers, fintech startuppers in our company, virtual company, what would you suggest, and what is the opportunity for them in this platform era?
I would say that there's a double opportunity and a massive danger. The double opportunity is, as I use the example of pension beyond there, but there are actually several of them. The opportunity to connect directly onto a platform and be part of a marketplace that isn't necessarily underwritten by a traditional bank is absolutely there. The second opportunity is that even for B2B players, there are banks who have realized they wasted a lot of time and they're actually moving in an accelerated fashion and working directly with startups like the one I'm working in to transform their core and capability. The danger is that what I described at the beginning, banks sitting in judgment and feeling that they need to make the decision to allow a fintech to flourish, to allow a fintech to grow through a partnership or incubation round. That habit, albeit proven wrong, is still holding strong. And I see hundreds of startups every year trying desperately to get into a POC with a bank, trying desperately to get into a relationship with a bank that will validate them without it necessarily being key to their business model. Unless you're a B2B player that needs to sell into a bank, the platform economics we have today means there is another way. Go find it.
Yes, it has to be a good match.
Exactly.
For the POC to be meaningful, and yeah, I agree. And this is what we're trying to do in our program, to make the right match, to find the right pair, because
and
this
that
is
match may not necessarily be a bank.
Yeah, it could be another fintech, it could be another POC partner. That's why we expanded the scope. So yeah, thanks. I don't think there is any question from the audience at the moment. But
no worries at all. And I will sadly have to drop to deal with a startup-y crisis of my own. But if questions emerge as you go, you know how to get hold of me. I'm more than happy to answer them offline. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So next one is George Karamanolis, who will discuss from a new frontier, the smart city frontier. George. Yeah, we can see your screen if you put the full screen, presentation mode. Perfect.
And George.
And unmute.
Yes, unmute.
This is minor detail.
I could continue talking about digital transformation and smart cities. So thank you, Kostas, for the introduction and for the opportunity to share with our great audience another type of platform, the smart cities concept, a platform for experimentation, a platform where smart city startups, financial technology startups, insurtech startups can develop innovative services in order for the citizens and the local societies to be to support local and support local economies. I would like to introduce Crowdpolicy and what we are doing the last 9 years in sectors of economy and society. We are providing services to support digital transformation and innovations for organizations in public and private sector. We are organizing hackathons, acceleration programs, city labs. We are providing AI tools and fintech solutions. And also, I would like to share some, I would like to mention and thank our partners from private sector, from public sector, the ministries and local government that who support our digital transformation services. I would like to continue with the fact that in Greece, a great human capital and ecosystem exists in Greece. We have met an interesting ecosystem of 5,000 developers, 500 startups. We have supported POC to be developed in successful MVPs and collaborate with the collaboration with enterprises and specifically with banks through Visa Innovation Program. And through COVID, what we have achieved is that we have transformed our open innovation and engaging services to support collaborative tools. We have organized hackathons and innovation labs remotely, etc. So I strongly believe that smart cities is a social and economic and the technology ecosystem that is very interesting and is affecting our daily lives. And a lot of opportunities can be created from the interaction and the provision of services from startups to local economies to local government, etc. So as Crowdpolicy, we also love not only the business opportunity of the smart city sector, but we also believe that smart cities are a playground for experimentation and innovation. And at this point, I would like to thank again all of my partners and colleagues in Crowdpolicy and the local government and the executives from local governments that some of them are attending our meeting. And with through our services, we have managed to have the prize of the Smart City Supplier of the Year in Greece. So, smart cities are a complex technology, social, economic ecosystem. Cities account for a large proportion of the global population and its economic activity. Today, over half of the world population lives in cities, and by 2050, this number will increase in the 2/3. Smart cities, as I have said, is a complex ecosystem, not only at the technology side, but also from the business side of view. A lot of technologies are implemented by the central government or the local government regarding IoT, smart health infrastructures for public safety, smart parking, smart mobility, electric vehicle infrastructures and waste management applications, even in Greece. So this discussion is very interesting in the context of the overall discussion for digital transformation and innovation for the fintech sector, because I think that the fintech solutions could have applicability and transform and improve our daily life. So also we have to think that the IoT, the Internet of Things trend, by the end of the year, the Internet of Things will consist of more than 30 billion devices, including mobile phones, wearable technology, home appliances, and car. And we can imagine how important it is for a fintech startup, where each device could be a potential way to pay, and these, of course, through the acceleration programs and through the technology platforms, VDP, etc., could support and enable new payment opportunities with the security in mind. And the data also are impressing because a lot of benefits, could be achieved if we will imagine a cashless society. This is a screen from a recent study, I think from Visa, where thousands of jobs can be creating. An important contribution to national GDP could be achieved through the digitization of financial transactions. In parallel, of course, with the improvement of our daily life. So, in Crowdpolicy, we support local innovation and ecosystems. We are collaborating with Greek municipalities, regions, and organizations from and local government organizations. Also with the Central Union of Greek Municipality, KEDE, and I would like to mention that KEDE is also supporting and the president of KEDE and the mayor of Trikala, a city that has implemented the smart city best practices, are also supporting the program. So we have created a collaboration and innovation platform for municipalities, cities, teams, and startups to collaborate, and we support through our services and acceleration programs, smart city development, POCs, and MVP startups. So regarding our collaboration with municipalities and regions, recently we are providing our digital services to over 65 municipalities and 4 regions all over Greece. With the objective to enhance the relationship with the citizens, to promote public work, to support local development and entrepreneurship, to support innovation, etc. We have supported with the municipality of Athens years ago, and now also we are in conversations to deploy wireless access solutions in Athens. We have also supported small municipalities in Greece. This is, I think, the town hall of, as I can remember, from a small village in Crete. We have supported municipalities in Greek islands, and there are also conversations and needs from the local economies. This is the town hall of Patmos or Mykonos, I think. So there are opportunities for tourism and the intersection of the provision of services for financial technologies, for digital wallets, to support e-commerce in local economies. And these services could also be provided by a municipality and a startup. We have recently visited, we have also visited the city of Palo Alto, and we have the opportunity to run some pilot programs regarding our that are related with our chatbot as a service solution. And through this smart city innovation journey of Crowdpolicy, this 5-minute journey all over Greece, we think that there are some critical success factors when we are trying to implement innovation in local government. The trust and the transparency is a critical success factor. For example, dashboards and visualizations for the spending or IoT data or weather condition data. Also, I think there are opportunities for the local government to utilize innovative startup ideas to improve the digital presence and the digital services, to provide better authentication, improved authentication services or in payments for the public sector. Also, a critical success factor where a smart city startup can provide service at local level is to implement communication and collaboration channels. It is important when we are implementing a digital service at local level to support feedback collections mechanism. And in Greece, there are a lot of interesting startups, and in additionally to our implementations that support e-democracy and crowdsourcing and crowdsourcing initiatives. And also a challenge for the Greek municipalities is to utilize the experience and the technology and the architectures and the fintech business models and concepts in order to synchronize and support the local government with the era of Industry 4. So in Greece, there are municipalities that support AI tools, for example, chatbots to inform visitors and citizens. And I'm saying all these case studies, as I believe that in a mature ecosystem of the local government, we can create local ambassadors and create test beds to utilize the services from our fintech startups. Okay, this is. I would like also to share an implementation for a small municipality in Greece. I think it is relative to our.
I'm afraid, George, we have run out of time.
Okay, yes.
It's very.
Yes, it is relative to the discussion because the municipality of Lasiti has launched a marketplace to provide e-commerce as a service solution, free e-commerce platform for every farmer. So it was a 10 or something more journey in Greece. Also mobility and the services that we could provide it through the mobile app, it is very crucial. So this is a video I would like to close from the latest development of Smart City On. Okay, all this content would be available, and Costa, I think that could support the third cohort of the Visa Innovation Program, including Smart City startups, to consider all these best practices and business cases that could be developed in relation to fintech and smart cities. And sorry for.
It's okay. Now you're now we're going through this challenge to the whole program with Vicky, Sevi, and Sabina on the floor, taking the floor, and let's hear what they have to say about the program and how it has evolved.
Thank you very much, Kostas. Thank you all for being here today. But first of all, and above all, I would like to welcome my dear invitees, the two other ladies of the programs, Gergana Stoitchkova, Program Manager in 11 Ventures, and Sabina Babayeva, Chief Operating Officer in Hackquarters. Two women executives with a strong presence in the startup and fintech ecosystem, I may say. The three of us, 11 Ventures, Hackquarters, and Crowdpolicy, have run so far 2 successful cohorts, everyone in each country, but also all of us together, with figures that cannot be omitted. Saying here 19.2 million funding raised by the participating fintechs and 22 successful pilots that have run with the partners and Visa in the context of the Visa Innovation Program. So instead of me presenting alone the Visa Innovation Program, this wonderful initiative from Visa, we thought all together, the ladies, to present Visa Innovation Program as a whole and showcase all the benefits that startups and fintechs can gain from participating in it, and how successfully we can move forward, because we were the first pioneers of this program. But in these 2 years, we have seen the program evolving and getting broader and wider. So by saying no more, welcome once more. Thank you for being here. The floor is yours. Perhaps Gary first, to share your experience, how you have seen the program evolving through these 2 years. How has the startup and fintech community accepted this initiative? And of course, Sabina, you after. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for the incredible introduction, Vicky, and also the whole Crowdpolicy team for organizing this. You're amazingly experienced in all those events, and I can see that there is a lot of interest as well from the audience. So thank you very much for the invite. Now, you know that whenever you start a new journey, it's always related with a lot of difficulties, and it takes a lot of time to convince the people to trust you, to convince the people that you can add value, or that the things that you're doing can actually be helpful. So I think that in those 2 years, what the three of us, meaning Crowdpolicy, 11, and Hackquarters, managed to do is exactly to prove that we are adding a lot of value, not only to the startups, but also to the banks, to the Visa, to all stakeholders. And what we saw happening in the last 2 seasons is that we started as a local initiatives in Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey, but we grew regionally. And we saw a lot of increased engagement from all participants. We saw a lot of increased interest towards partnerships. And we also see both the startups, but also the financial institutions maturing in the way how they work together, and in the way how they are willing to engage and willing to partner. So I'm very much looking forward to a successful season 3, in which we are going to continue to learn and adapt and improve, so that the program can be beneficial for everyone that's involved.
That is true. We have seen this growing experience, and I suppose, Sabina, that the same has happened in Turkey as well, with an emerging and very growing fintech ecosystem, because Turkey has and has established in this field.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like, I don't like the word difficulties. I would prefer calling them challenges that we had. And when we started, actually the banking sector is quite developed in Turkey in general. The banks are alongside with telecommunications. So the banks are very strong, and there is a lot of different kind of new solutions that are coming every year. And of course, when it comes to startup ecosystem and supporting startups in general, there were a lot of different kind of initiatives by Turkish banks already. So, and even we as Hackquarters were the part of them. But what we were trying to do when we started 3 years ago together with Visa is to raise awareness for the real payment technology and and real fintech ecosystem, to be specifically focused on this particular sector. But at the same time, changing the mindset of the banking sector and changing the mindset of the bank executives. When I'm talking about the changing mindset, of course, it's the comprehension and acceptance of the startups as they are. Because as I mentioned, being strong in Turkey, banks prefer to do everything in-house actually. And there was not too much open innovation before. When the startups, of course, startups were coming with the banks for potential cooperation, but at the same time, there were always a lot of challenges that the startups were facing while working with banks. Because banks have a lot of developers, they have very strong development and software teams. And definitely the solutions that the startups can propose can be developed in-house. I'm not talking about efficiency or the how long it might take, like for the bank, for the big banks, for the big institutions to develop these kind of solutions, but definitely this is possible. So our main challenge as Visa Innovation Program in Turkey, of course, was bringing together, matching startups, the really growing startups, startups who are in capacity to work with this bank, who could recommend themselves in a very good way, to bring them together with the banks and other financial institutions. We're not talking just about banks, but also with other financial institutions, and of course provide this access for the kind of mutual and more fruitful collaboration. So this is how we started. And I think that, of course, the program showed itself that, during the program, during these last two batches that we have, of course, startups met with banks, startups met with other partners. And maybe I will talk about that a little bit later, but Visa Innovation Program was very much smartly designed from the beginning to provide the real value proposition that to really value and benefit for the startups. So using Visa's international global partnership network. So definitely, if the startups are supported by such organization, by such institution as Visa, who will have operations worldwide, globally access to all the banks in the world. So can you imagine that if there is a startup supported by Visa, definitely it opens new frontiers, it opens new gates, new windows and doors for the startup. I mean, like if we're talking about the loyalty, if we're talking about the trust. So I think that this is the main value proposition that we can propose for the startups.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And we have seen these 2 years, this program, of course, with the brand name of Visa, involving tremendously. And also here in Greece, something similar has happened in the Greek startup ecosystem. We have seen through these 2 years, the fintechs and startups evolving through this program and through the network that this program provides, in order the startups to build cooperations, real cooperations with real KPIs, with POC partners, banks, Visa, change their initial idea and product, launching perhaps a new product in the market, something that in other times it would take them like 2-3 years, but in a 5 months cohort with the brand name of Visa and with the network of Visa, they have achieved so much more. Because we're really proud of this program, a business-oriented program with innovative solutions from all the countries. That is so true. And you have also started saying, some hints, Sabina, but also there are a lot of benefits for the startups from this program. Would you like perhaps to give us some more what has happened in your case from the program in Turkey?
Yes, of course, of course. You just perfectly mentioned that. I started to talk about the benefits, and I mean, like we all mentioned that there is different kind of benefits and advantages that Visa Innovation Program, together with Visa team, of course, are providing for the startups. So, alongside with the access to regional partners, to regional VC and funding solutions, organizations, of course, what I want to mention is like we are trying to focus on two major dimensions when it comes to all these benefits. So one is piloting new products or to make some POC with the partners. And the second one is expanding to new markets. So that's why, as I mentioned, the startups who are accepted for the Visa Innovation Program, they are not too much early stage. So it's not an incubation program. It's first of all, it's acceleration program. So we're trying to help startups to grow their businesses, to scale up their businesses globally or at least regionally. And of course, opening for new markets, going globally, this is the main priority for us. And what we see is the companies that being accepted for, I'm sure for the Bulgarian, for the Greece program as well, but at least for the Turkish program, they prefer to go for other countries. They prefer to check new markets. They prefer to establish even offices in other countries. Generally talking about the MENA region and about European direction. So this is number one priority for us. And I think that using Visa global network of partners can be a very good push for that as well. And at the same time, as I mentioned, the piloting new products together with Visa during the program is one of the main keystone for us as well. So what we see is like even being the quite established company working as a startup, working with different kind of banks and different kind of institutions. After the startups are being accepted for Visa Innovation Program, of course, they're starting to think about new roadmap, what they can do together with new partners, what they can do together with new benefits that Visa is provided. So in our case, for instance, Kobakos, one of the quite popular Visa, quite popular startup here in Turkey, which is doing the kind of banking account aggregation. So they think about new open banking product, and right now they are trying to launch it in Europe as well, together with Visa's support and Visa's partnership introduction. Another case that I want to mention is actually combining the first and the second direction. It's a Global Zone. So Global Zone is quite famous here as well. So the startup is mainly working in cross-border in transaction and shipping of different kind of products, especially right now during and after COVID. During Visa Innovation Program, what the guys did, they had the exclusive partnership with Visa. Right now they're working on having prepaid cards. So they opened, again, with a Visa push, they opened for new markets. Right now they're quite operatable in India, so which is very strange for us, but this is the reality. And of course, being powered by Visa, of course, it creates trust and for the customers. So it means that they are changing the behavior, customer behavior in general for the cross-border sector here in Turkey and in the region.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing, Sabina. Great. We have also a whole session, to showcase our successes from the Greek program. So I'm not going to mention more here because we have invited startups for this cause who are, the real protagonists of this program. But Gary, hearing Sabina mentioning some success cases, I thought of Payhawk from your program, from Visa Innovation Program in Bulgaria, and perhaps you would like to share this experience here in our event.
Of course. So Payhawk are, yeah, rightly said, one of the biggest prizes we have in the program. They are one of the very successful fintech companies in Bulgaria, and they joined the program in the first season. So what I did with the help of Visa was to, first of all, accelerate the process of finding an issuer, a renowned international issuer, and to accelerate the process of issuing cards themselves, but also to open a very strategic office in Berlin, right next to Visa's office. And as a result, of course, they're an amazing company, so this is mainly due to them, but also I believe that the program helped them a lot in raising their second funding round last year. So this was a major milestone for them as well, and we still see them developing quite fast. But apart from Payhawk, another benefit that I wanted to mention when I was listening to Sabina is that the program, it's not a typical acceleration program where we have some predefined, necessarily structured program, but it's very individual and it's very tailored, and it follows the needs of each startup. So it's not like you enter with different startups in different levels and then you all go through the same program, but you will receive the dedicated mentorship that you need. So each startup has a very different pathway, and that's by design, because as we already mentioned a few times, the main goal of the program is to help the companies reach POCs and pilots with the banks, and this cannot be one size fits all model. It's very individual. It's very difficult, not difficult, but different every time. So you need this dedication in making this happen. And another thing that I believe is very beneficial is that we as program managers, we to a large extent serve as translators between the startups and the financial institutions. And I see that as a very important thing, because as we also heard in the previous lecture presentation, banks have their structure and their, so to say, traditions, and it's not always very straightforward to make them communicate with and work with startups. So it takes a lot of efforts to somehow train both the corporates but also the startups how to work together. So I think that's one of the largest values that the program gives to all stakeholders. So both to the banks and Visa, but also to the startups.
So we would say that Visa Innovation Program opens and eases the way for the startups, to move ahead in different directions, cooperations with the banks, with other startups, expansions, go in different countries, meet the Visa network. That's unique, for a program. And as we're moving dynamically with the next cohort, what do you consider to be an expected result for the Visa Innovation Program? Gary, would you like to begin?
Of course. So first of all, so far we were working to some extent as local initiatives in Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey. And of course, we were partnering a lot. But now that we are going to unify much more and we're going to start sharing much more resources in a regional basis, I'm beyond excited how this is going to happen, because all three companies, we have different experiences and different strengths, and now we can all three contribute with our strengths to the whole program. So when we speak about season 3, I am expecting to see much more startups from all three countries, and not only working with all POC partners and Visa teams around the three countries, but also something that we started observing a lot in season 2 in Bulgaria was increased collaboration among the startups that joined the program. So another thing that I'm really hoping and I believe we can achieve and help the companies do is namely to accelerate this collaboration among the startups as well, so that at the end we have one regional platform working both for startups to startups, but also for startups to banks. And on Visa side and on the side of the banks, I think it's a huge value that they'll be able to choose from a larger pool of companies, and also to make use of those amazing resources that our three companies have.
That's great. We could say in one word that Visa Innovation Program breaks the borders and gives, access to a wider pool of companies and startups. And perhaps, Sabina, you would like to share with us your thoughts on this great initiative of the three companies joining forces together in a wider, and broader program.
Sure, I absolutely agree with what Gergana just said about this regional collaboration between banks and startups and other financial institutions, something like players of the fintech ecosystem eventually. So definitely what we propose this year as our innovation is like a regional access to markets. I mean, we all have very beneficial location when it comes to Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey. So we have the kind of launch pad for the Central and Southern Europe. We can be the good launch pad for MENA region, for Turkey, so which definitely makes us stronger. When we're talking about the Visa Innovation Program, so fintech is one of the most funded sector here in Turkey. So, but definitely, selecting the best startups, selecting the whole creme de la creme startups, in this ecosystem. Of course, it will be much more beneficial for all the players, definitely for investors, because the investors here already know that coming to Hackquarters and coming to Visa Innovation Program, so definitely they will meet with the best fintechs, best growing fintechs here in this country. And of course, this is quite beneficial. So this is the main advantage that Visa Innovation Program can propose for the startups. But at the same time, as I mentioned previously, being together with Visa, being together with Crowdpolicy, 11 and Hackquarters in this boat, of course, it opens new frontiers, it opens new opportunities as well. So for startup, there is not biggest advantage than to be powered by this kind of big global fintech player. So that's why instead of funding the startups here in Turkey in the framework of Visa Innovation Program, what we do, we're trying to grow with them. We're trying to bring them together with the global, regional, and local VCs, angels, investors, to mentor them, to teach them how to do it properly, and eventually to increase the company valuation. So this is what we see. So companies, startups who are accepted for the program, so they increase the company valuation up to 5 times, for instance. So I think that setting the right roadmap for the startups, working with the right partners, of course, together with the guidance of mentors, together with guidance with the Visa team. So this what makes this program unique. And definitely being the platform, today's event is the age of collaborative platforms. So we are as collaborative platform between Greece, Bulgaria, and Turkey. Definitely, this is what makes the Visa Innovation Program unique at least in this sector, in fintech and payment sector.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more with both of you. That's the main, purpose of the program, giving a wider vision to all the startups and to the fintech community, and making a landmark of the Visa Innovation Program as a program which gives great beneficial and benefits to the startups. So we want through this panel also to invite all the startups and fintechs to join in the third cohort, leave this experience of the Visa Innovation Program, having the capability to meet with Visa executives and come in contact with Visa network, as we have run 2 successful cohorts and we have the KPIs to showcase that we can move forward successfully in a broader and wider vision. Thank you very much for your time, ladies. Looking forward to the third cohort.
Thank you for
having us.
Bye and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Sabina, Gary. Now it's a time to move on to the next panel, which is I think very interesting, and I'm glad that everyone stayed with us until this point. So I'd like to welcome Ms. Athina Chatzipetrou, President and Chief Executive Officer of Hellenic Development Bank, Yiannis Papakostas, Assistant General Manager, Head of Group Digital Transformation, Eurobank, Agamemnon Papastergiou, Senior Director, Digital Banking and Innovation, Alpha Bank, and Panagiotis Divriotis, Chief Retail Officer at Attica Bank, and Andreana Pappas, Head of Visa Greece. So thank you all for joining this panel and accepting the invitation. It's a pleasure. The topic of the discussion is the new financial landscape and how post-COVID has been in a hyper transformation speed. And I would like to start by Ms. Chatzipetrou first and ask her the question, which will be addressed, of course, to everyone afterwards. How would you describe the level of the digital transformation right now in the financial sector? And if you think that it's up to the expectations, and what could be done in your perspective in order to be up to speed?
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Good afternoon, Costa. I see familiar faces. Hello, Andreana and everyone. For me, it is always a pleasure to be among people who have embraced innovation and support technological initiatives. It is important to start with a very common identification that the COVID-19 crisis has forced the financial service industry to accelerate the digital transformation process. Also, the pandemic highlighted the fact that what has worked in the past is no longer an option in the digital world. The question remains, though, how can we sense and act upon a future that remains unclear? We have some good news, and the good news are that much of the tech-driven disruption each of us experiences today and going forward is understandable and knowable. And we all know that the backbone of the technology innovation is grounded in specific macro forces. We may say that we start with analytics. Analytics will continue to expand, and this is a fact. We can say that the second comes the cloud, that will fastly integrate to the business ecosystem and is no longer a standalone concept. Digital, we know that is increasingly used as in tandem with experience, and we call it digital experience all the time. In the corporate, we know that our core systems are transformed to platforms, not anymore systems standalone, but fuel growth. Risk also elevates and differentiates from protection and security to, we can say, tech ethics and social responsibility. And business technology elevates and elevates. I want to add the cognitive that moves from data crunching to a core strategic driver, blockchain. We know it as a trend, but will very fast become a digital asset. And the digital reality that started as a gadget and has turned into experience and will continue in intuitive engagement. In that sense, this will be a very different world. Financial sector and the well-established financial institutions known already as incompetent. They have their advantages that will continue, their size, their network, their clientele and the client base, but we will not be able to survive or retain the clientele and primarily the competitiveness unless digital transformation takes place. This is the plate of the state place. Hello?
Yeah, we lost the last part. Yeah, we lost the very last part. If you could repeat.
Well, I was mentioning that the financial sector and the financial institutions as we know them right now, with their advantages in size, network, strong client base, will not be able to survive or retain the clientele, but primarily retain their competitiveness unless digital transformation takes place. So the state of play is known, and we should build upon that.
Mr. Papakostas?
Hi, Costa.
Hi. Yiannis.
I hope you can hear me. And
we can hear you.
First of all, let me thank you all for inviting me today to a very interesting panel. I have to say that the pandemic and the two lockdowns, like the capital controls in the past, haven't really changed the situation. I think they have acted as a catalyst for the speeding of the transformation that was already into play, especially for Eurobank. This has been a strategic priority for us during the last, more than 5 years, I would say, and one that will continue being a key part of our 10-year transformation program, which is called Eurobank 2020-2030. I mean, through the digital transformation, we're aiming to become a simple, flexible, fully modernized bank, one that is aligned with customer needs and preferences of both today, but also of the future, and that we are able to compete effectively in today's environment of significantly heightened competition, both from traditional players, but also, from newcomers. In the last 3 years alone, we have invested more than 150 million euros in the technological upgrade of our platforms and services, and we're continuing this investment plan. And obviously, given the current situation, even more aggressively, targeting to develop a new generation of innovative products and services, having always, obviously, the customer at the center. I said that this has become a catalyst and we have accelerated the transition. And this becomes even more evident, I would say, when we zoom in the growth of the usage, let's say, of our digital channels. In 2020, we have seen a growth of 30% in our e-banking and mobile banking users versus 2019, while the increase has been even more prominent in the mobile banking users, where their numbers grew to over 50% of our digital users, with an increase of over 40% versus the previous year. And one other interesting thing is when we compare Greek banks to international players. We have recently seen a very interesting survey by Deloitte that was conducted in 320 banks in close to 40 countries, 39 if I'm not mistaken. And actually, Greek banks are actually pretty good, which is quite interesting. At least for us in Eurobank, we are one of the 2 banks that have been classified in the second best tier as smart followers, just behind the digital champions globally. And we're actually close to them in terms of both functionalities and user experience offered. We at Eurobank, at least, we aim to offer, and I think we're succeeding in doing that, to offer a digital platform that can fully cover the day-to-day transactional needs of our customers, retail, small business, and corporate alike, offering innovative services such as card controls, account aggregation, mobile wallet, but also offering products such as the ability to get a consumer loan of up to 30,000 euros via our e-banking platform, getting credit card, just to name a couple. At the same time, we're offering innovative services for our business customers, such as the e-commerce solution suite that incorporates also services of third parties, given also the collaboration part of the discussion today, and that can facilitate the transition of small businesses into the e-commerce space, as well as services like PayGate, Check Express, ExportGate for the facilitation and digitization of payments and trade, both in Greece but also internationally. All of these are part of the transformation that we're trying to achieve. And we should not forget also things like the video banking service that we have first introduced in Greece, that is allowing, you know, a digital experience, but also with the physical touch, because also we should not forget that even in this era, having a physical touch is also very critical. The last part that I think is very important, and it's something that has massively increased during the last period, is the usage and the burden, if I may use this word, that this has caused on the various systems. I will give you two numbers to make this clear. In a single minute, imagine that we were able to handle without issue 3.4 thousand users, and in 1 hour, over 40,000 transactions, which are huge numbers. And we have managed to do that with our digital channels achieving practically 100% availability in this period of super heightened usage. So, I mean, to summarize, has the recent situation changed what we're doing? No. It has accelerated it. It has brought the digital channels much into the foreground, much more than it was before. It has helped users that were not so much used to digital channels having to do that, you know, maybe in a bad way, but that at least has helped the digital transformation of the country. And I think I can speak for all the banks that we have stood up to the occasion pretty successfully. And we have also supported in various ways, not only by offering such services, but also through our call centers, through things like the Digital Academy, for example, that we in Eurobank have, the transition of our customers to this new era.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Yiannis. Agamemnon, Mr. Papastergiou, what's your view on the digital transformation journey during these times?
Yes, good afternoon. Hi, Kostas. Hi to everyone. Thank you for this great opportunity. It's good to see some friends. Yes, Yiannis. In broad terms, I would agree with everything that Yiannis just said. I mean, the bank started the digitization effort long ago. I mean, we at Alpha Bank started this long journey back in 2017. And it was not, the starting situation was good already in terms of transactions, because all Greek banks had a very solid presence in terms of e-banking platforms, be that web or mobile, for retail or business customers. However, there was still a lot of room to go. We did a lot of things, and actually, as Yiannis said, COVID came to fully justify our strategic direction and decisions, and justify the investments we had undertaken by that time, and also asked for a strong acceleration. Just to give you a few highlights, when we started the effort, transactions at the branch level were accounted for roughly 25 to 30% of total, and by now it's less than 7%. And this is not because of COVID. Before COVID, it was 9 or 10%. COVID acted as a catalyst, as Yiannis said, and it actually made clear that the decision was right and that we had to accelerate more. During this era, apart from the transactions, we saw a lot of shift in customer behavior. We saw, you know, we saw what we always suspected, that customers do not actually enjoy to visit a branch for very simple things. So we saw subscriptions in e-banking self-service through mobile rising up to more than 40%. It went up to 80% during March last year. And this was a service that we had launched back in 2018 when, you know, the demand was very limited at the time. We saw also a strong desire for collaborating from distance, apart from transactions. So that's why we introduced the Alpha Rendezvous service, where you know, a customer can book an appointment either physically in the branch or through a video or a call, and you know, get serviced the way he wants. This, however, does not mean that the journey is over and everything is done. There is still a lot of way to go. What we have outlined as priorities, we want to address the key customer journeys, so the key areas that have to do with the primary needs of the customers. We started 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, with the onboarding journeys, and we have concluded both of them for retail customers and for business customers. Now an individual can onboard the bank through mobile without visiting any branch, and the company likewise can onboard and open an account and get the banking through web without visiting a branch. But this is just the beginning. Our ambition is to have the majority of our products available online, and you know, having them available online does not necessarily mean that we will achieve sales. So we also want to have a significant share of digital sales, accounting for total. And for that, of course, we need to revise our marketing mix and marketing practices. We see there is still a lot of room for advanced analytics and the application of AI in multiple fields, not only in advanced analytics. It could be also, you know, credit, risk, fraud, security, or whatever. And we're strongly revising our distribution model. I agree that physical presence is important. However, it has to be reviewed, and it has to be complemented with other means, such as collaboration platforms or things in this direction. In this journey, what was very fortunate was also the digitization of the state. We saw the last 12 months enormous progress in the digitization of the public sector, things that we have been asking and for years now happened, you know, overnight almost, and this is very good to see. It's good that the public services, the different information services are getting integrated and also offered to the private sector and the banks, and you know, and this is just a part of the broader transformation programs. As far as I know, all big 4 banks, systemic banks in Greece, have large transformation programs, and digital is just one angle of it. It's an enabler. It's not is not the target itself to the technology. The technology is there to enable the change. And that means that we also need a change in mindsets, a change in the way we work. That's why we have introduced Agile as well. And also we need to get into the shoes of the customer and have move customer experience in the center of what we do. And this is what we at Alpha Bank are trying to do.
The lean startup way, the startup way.
Yeah, and we will get, I guess, into this later. And I believe this is something that the startups could help the incumbent players. If it is the financial sector, it's the banks. In other sector, whoever the incumbent is, because they manage very well this thing with the customer. And I think this is an area that we can benefit from them.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Agamemnon. Mr. Divriotis, would you like to share your perspective on how Attica Bank tackled the transformation that's happening?
Hi, Costa. Thank you for the invitation. Hello to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, always, especially with the fintechs. I mean, starting a bit with the digital transformation, and I think Yiannis and Agamemnon shared everything. We do have to say, I know for all the participants, that the Greek banks are doing fairly well vis-a-vis the global players. We're doing fairly well, and this is not a result of the last 2 years. It has always been the case. And the digital maturity of the Greek society is getting better and higher. So we're doing fairly well there are aspects that we have probably to improve in order to reach the level of what Yiannis said. It's a very nice term from the Deloitte survey, the digital champion. This has to do mainly with the mobile and add on out of the banking services. But we're doing fairly well, and we did react fairly well to the COVID situation, the pandemic. The colleagues mentioned everything. I will mention from the card side that we immediately increased the contactless limit, and this I think is going to be fixed. It's going to become permanent, and Andreana can elaborate. I think we're one of the top countries in terms of contactless penetration. So we're doing fairly well. We're not the country that someone will benchmark, like sometimes you see countries like Poland or Turkey in the past, with cards and payments innovations, but we're doing fairly well. Now, when it comes to us, we're really eager to show everyone, and this will happen in some months within this year, the implementation of our complete transformation process. And we're working very silently, to be honest. This is a strategic choice, and we have been designing a complete transformation throughout most of 2020. With basic evolving obviously around customer experience. We have exhaustive, and we're currently exhaustively mapping our customer journeys. We're going to go digital, and this is again a strategic choice. Again, no one knows where this will go. We all believe digital will prevail, but at the end of the day, I think it's the phygital that we have to work on, and this is what we decided. We have a very good starting point because we have a small footprint, an optimal footprint of almost 50 branches. We have completed the rebranding exercise with one of a very luxurious, very prestigious design agency from Italy, and together with the rebranding, which hopefully you're going to see very soon. We have redesigned our branches, a complete new model of branches. We have obviously elaborated and incorporated on all the current aspects, even including the pandemic. So as you understand, we're going to try to leapfrog. We will apply new systems, so we have less disruption to bring on our legacy system. So indeed, the starting point is favoring us, and hopefully, obviously, we're going to work on all the aspects of digital onboarding, digital lending, aggregation, because we want to grow our clientele list through digital channels. We're going to do it on a seamless post save and resume omni-channel way, and everything has been designed, and we are now very excited to start working with a number of companies in all aspects. And I think we will have the chance to discuss further on about this, but it's pretty clear that, even when we speak with large, consultancies and large firms, most of them, if not all, I would say, they're using services from fintechs, because when you have to incorporate a new innovative product or a new service model, it's the fintechs that makes the difference. We will discuss later on, I suppose, on this section. So all in all, we're very excited and very tired, but we're also excited because we're anticipating to, and we're going to present to our clients and to the market our new phase, and this will happen in 2021. And as I said, we're going to leapfrog. We're not going to spend, an unbelievable amount of time, resources, money, just to conquer things that the others have. We're going to do the things. Obviously, we're going to cover all of our gaps, and we're going to do the things that exist out there, innovations, and that we believe that are going to create a real value for clients, which we do believe, for whom we do believe that they're digital nature. So all in all, as a country and as a financial system, we're very well placed. And this is my opinion, but this is evidenced by a number of surveys, Deloitte being the latest one. We do show very good reflexes because we do have good cooperation, even under the auspices of the Association of Banks. And we did show very good reflexes on the COVID. And obviously, the new norms that are coming through the COVID are going to become part of our offering. And I did give you some spoilers, and hopefully you're going to see the whole movie by the end of the year when it comes to the Attica rebranding, branch redesign, and the whole digital omnichannel proposition that we are currently implementing.
Great. Looks like exciting times in Attica Bank for you. Great.
We have decided to become a bit more extrovert and discuss openly about it, but at the end of the day, you know, what will show is the real product and the real service. So yeah. Fall back a bit, and you are going to start seeing it very soon.
Great. And Leda, Glyptis at the beginning mentioned how this new situation and the platform economy offers opportunities for smaller players, let's say more nimble players, more banks like well-sized, let's say, in this situation. So yeah, Andreana, so you have a global perspective. Would you like to share it with us?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Costa. First of all, lovely being here. Unfortunately, again, virtually, but it's always fantastic to have a chance to address colleagues, friends, partners, and our lovely fintechs. And congratulations for organizing this. Well done, Crowdpolicy team. So our inevitable shared cliche observation is that COVID-19 has brought unprecedented challenges and widespread economic and social change. And of course, Greece has been no exception. I absolutely agree with Athina, as well as with Yiannis, Agamemnon, and Panagiotis, that we have good news too. The past year, we demonstrated the agility, the strength, and the resilience of our ecosystem, and importantly, the meaningful role that we all collectively play, being at the center of commerce. This past year has also accelerated progress, including the shift to remote banking, e-commerce, and contactless payments. Let me zoom into the three areas I just mentioned: contactless, e-commerce, and data analytics. Panos already touched on contactless, so starting with that, one prime example is indeed the agility of the Greek financial sector and the increase of the limit for contactless transactions without PIN going from 25 to 50 euros. And this was a measure that was initiated and adopted by the Greek banking system right from the offset of the crisis, so that we can all buy and sell fast and in safety in more occasions. It's important to also mention the rollout of mobile contactless payments by the Greek systemic banks, who are leveraging the Visa token service technology, with live use cases now covering both Android and iOS mobile operating systems. So in essence, Greek consumers can use their smartphones of their choice to transact contactlessly, even using biometric authentication methods instead of PIN, with security and maximum convenience. On the contactless acceptance side of things, to further facilitate cost-efficient growth of our footprint, we're working with our partners in Greece on rolling out the tap-to-phone technology. So this technology can help sellers accept digital payments without any additional hardware, allowing micro businesses to use smartphones again to accept digital payments instead of a traditional software terminal. On the second area, I mentioned e-commerce. So COVID-19 has definitely been a catalyst in Greece. Yiannis mentioned that already. For the overall digital transformation, I think everyone has already spoken about that. Specifically in the relation to the faster than ever adoption of e-commerce. From the consumer side, we know as consumers ourselves, that the demand was certainly increased and card payments were the best placed and most trusted tool immediately available, with all of the consumer protection and the security that Visa, together with our local partners, can guarantee. Of course, on the other side of the equation, there are our small businesses, and the majority of businesses in our country are actually small, as we all know, and they were seeking e-commerce enablement. So our local acquiring partners were fast to come up with solutions such as, for example, Pay by Link, among many others. Both merchants and acquirers now actively seek our offerings as they look for ways to evolve their business models and meet shifting customer behaviors that are accelerated by COVID. These types of solutions enable sellers to offer omni-channel digital commerce experiences, such as buy online or pick up in store. We have many similar examples of clients from other geographies, the majority of other geographies actually. And one such example is Barclaycard, one of our largest acquirers in Europe, who is working with us to support its merchants' digital payment journeys, e-commerce, and omni-channel requirements. And let me try and conclude with a third area I mentioned in the beginning, data analytics. We have seen increased interest and uptake by our partners throughout Europe and in Greece in our consulting and analytics services, where Visa professionals help clients solve challenges and seize opportunities. So this growing interest is definitely a reflection of how clients rely on us, not just to process payments, but to provide trustworthy, data-driven advice to help them manage their business.
Great. Yeah, I think we can take some questions if there are also from the audience from this point on. In the meantime, I will kick off a second round of answers. Okay, so there is a question actually, and we could address. Are there any plans for your banks to launch their own independent fintech startup instead of having innovation division inside the bank structure? That's the first question that came up. This is a strategic option, of course. And if someone from the banks would like to answer, or all of you, to this question from the audience.
I can start if it's okay, if my colleagues agree. We're not planning to start a new bank. Others have done it. It's interesting actually how they're moving. Even big banks like Santander, for example, that have launched their own digital bank in some countries are kind of moving away from it in their core market and going into other areas. That doesn't mean, nevertheless, that innovation is not a key part of what we do. We in Eurobank have the Innovation Center, which is a core element of our day-to-day life, let's say, which is not only about doing hackathons and innovation competitions within the bank, but also outside the bank. It's definitely one of the key things we're doing, but we're also trying to achieve collaborations that bring value add to our customers and to the bank with third parties, startups, fintechs, whatever they may be, but also through our own Explore program, drive innovation and test things in a quick way before committing the resources required for developing new products and services. So, for example, one interesting example is actually business financial management, BFM. It was a debate within the bank whether this was something we should do or not, given that when PSD2 came about, everybody said that unless you go out and do something on this front, actually, the sky is going to fall on your head. That was a critical strategic question for us that we needed to answer. And we actually went out and tested it with the live people, with clients, in a way that allowed us to experiment in a real life situation in the Greek setup before committing the resource. And actually it proved that at least at that point in time, this was something that was not at the top priority of business customers. And we forgone that investment, which achieved significant value for the bank in the sense of not committing the resources that would have been used and were actually used elsewhere to achieve impact. So this is definitely something that we're doing. Innovation is part of that, but we're trying to embed it into our day-to-day life. We're not, given also our size and constraints, thinking that having a separate bank, a separate digital asset that is different from what we do is actually a strategic option for us. It's not. What we aim to do is have excellent user experience, excellent services and offerings as part of our core offer. These may be complemented by other products and services offered by third parties, obviously, or enhanced by the services and offerings they have that are embedded in our own services. But this is basically how in Eurobank we're addressing the issue.
Agamemnon, Panagiotis, do you have anything to add in this direction? Have any additional comment on this? Or
I will not differentiate from Yiannis. I mean, launching a new bank is not something that we're considering, and I think the international examples have not proven themselves in the sense that a few banks chose to do that, but of course it takes a huge cost in terms of branding and marketing, and I think they are now facing the problems of what to do with it. Merge the old bank with it, merge the new bank with the old one, and anyway, it's not something we're considering. However, as Yiannis said, we are very open to innovation. We want to use third-party solutions, and we look at collaborating with fintech. So no differentiation actually from what Eurobank is thinking. So I will not elaborate more on that. I mean.
Similarly, I mean, we're very pragmatic about it. Even if we wanted to, you know, to launch and spin off, we don't have the resources to do it. So strategically, and this is where the fintech essence comes into play. You know, there are things that simply we cannot do. Whether we are small, with all due respect, I believe even if we were, you know, a much larger bank, you cannot disrupt easily a yearly maintained culture and system, be it a legacy system or whatever. You need to foresee and you need to understand that you have to take the agility from smaller companies like the fintechs. So, you know, and again, this is not a theoretic discussion, because we did sit down and had a number of questions, even in executive level in the bank, and we said, how are we going to do this? Are we going to hire, you know, are we going to recruit talents for analytics, people that you know can bring the agile method and help us? No, we're going to pursue and try to find this knowledge outside, and you know, and we have taken a very you know conscious decision to become a part of a broader ecosystem. And we do believe a bank in our size has literally no other choice, you know, because if you really drill down to it, whatever you do, you will find out that you don't have any other choice. You cannot, simply you cannot. And this is where you need the fintechs, and you need young and talented, not only young, you need talented people, you need people with passion that, you know, can disrupt the modus operandi. I'm going to go ahead and say something, you know, which is, it will sound, you know, a bit strange, but I work on the retail from, I'm 40 now, and I'm working on the retail from literally 20 years old. And I think retail banking is dead. So long live retail banking, the new retail banking. Okay, things are changing, and I'm very happy that, you know, I was working in a large institution, one of the big fours, the big systemics, and you know, it's very difficult to disrupt the existing models. So this is where you need. On the economy, on the society, for our lives, all in all, for services, young, new, established, agile, you know, firms. Fintechs being a very important part of this chain. So, to cut the long story short, we are going to try to become a member of a part and build an ecosystem around us. And we're not going to spin off, and we're not going to create any different things. There are companies out there that can help us, and we're going to cooperate and partner. Partnership is the right word.
Great, thanks Panagiotis. Talking about fintech startups, Ms. Chatzipetrou, you have lots of experience. You provide the bloodline in the financial system, actually, with Hellenic Development Bank. What would you suggest the fintech startups? What are the opportunities, and how could you support them in their endeavor, in their journey on your part?
Well, as development bank, we are arranging a committed bundle of activities that include but are not limited to increasing our engagement in equity fund. As you know, that is the main instrument for Greek VC growth and investment in fintech and other key digital technologies growth. We are building a new department within the bank dedicated to funding initiatives related to digital transformation and innovation. Building new financial products, blending facilities, earmarked for key digital technologies across various sectors of the Greek economy. We are, you probably know that, an active partner of Innovation Norway in Business Innovation Greece, a grant program for Greek SMEs in the areas of ICT and other areas. And we are currently working close with international finance institutions such as the IMF, EIB and EBRD, as well as Greek stakeholders to introduce more funding initiatives dedicated to digital transformation and innovation. In that sense, though, I would like to highlight, and I would like you to allow me to refer to our own very recent journey in HDB, as we have used technology and we have used this facility to highlight a different capacity building. We have embraced new technologies, Costa, in the digital transformation, and at the very beginning, since the very beginning of the pandemic, we decided to become a part of the industry leaders and stop being a clear follower. We have set a vision and mission to embrace digital transformation as an imperative strategic priority. So, since the pandemic, and it is a very recent development, we set a clear-cut vision, being in 3-5 years, a leader in the area with our partners, set relationships with our partners, and being an effective stakeholder on the SMEs, lending schemes. Business and technology teams have worked together to deliver outcomes faster without sacrificing reliability, security, and maintainability, whereas achieving scalability. And I want to share with you my screen for just a moment. Is just one slide.
Sure.
So let me show you what that meant for us. So this is HDB from 2010 to 2020. This is the number of approved loans and the scale up. I don't know if it is clear, it can be shown clearly.
It is beyond clear, the peak, the upside. Yeah.
And this is the value of the approved loans. So, okay, so our scale up started from 300 million in 2019 and ended to 7.6 billion by the end of 2020. This is the under management value. And to tell you the truth, this is what has become our new business model. So we started as a company that was generating income by capital interest, and primarily 13 out of the 16 million, we were a very small bank. We ended the 2020 by changing the mix. And you see that suddenly the part of the blue part continues to reduce, although we are leveraging the same amount of our capital, and we are drastically increasing the part of the value of the management fee. And you see what is the budget of our 2021. So we started with primarily having income from capital interest, and our business model in 2021 reflects primarily income from management fees of the products that we will have under management. So for us, this technology is a catalyst. Our culture and the way we operated had to change in order to stay competitive in this demanding and continuously changing environment. Through the implementation of new strategies and practices in the digital ecosystem. What also played a role was the remote working and accelerated migration to the cloud that were among the first practices we had to administer, fast-tracked by COVID pandemic and restrictions in working conditions, as we all know. We made fast investments in modern technology, promptly enacted to develop innovative products to support SMEs and Greek economy and restrain the negative economic consequences of the pandemic. And we have initiated tools such as data analytics, data visualization, web services that we communicate with the banking system to upgrade and automate and expedite internal procedures and processes to accelerate and improve database decision-making process. Recently, we are about to introduce a chatbot tool with an artificial intelligence software that, as you probably guess, will be able to automatically answer questions. This new feature will be embedded to HDB's website and will be introduced to improve our website. With regards to ecosystem, we want to support the fintech ecosystem as we recognize the necessity to expand our portfolio of products and services to incorporate emerging digital technology. And this is the way forward. We will be a very firm follower and very firm believer on this new banking system. As I started from our presentation, I believe that this is the banking environment will change, will not be replaced, but fintech is the new way of doing financial business. So we have to see and recognize that and embrace it.
Thank you, and it's very clear from what you showed us how Hellenic Development Bank transformed totally during last year, and it's very impressive. Thank you for the comments. I will say that we will not do the last part, the Q&A session. We have incorporated the Q&A session in each session, so please stay for the next one. So we'll take some time from the next session. So just another question for you, Andreana, regarding the importance of partnerships in this era. I'm sure that you agree that they are critical, they are focal for your strategy. Would you like to elaborate on how Visa is working on this in this direction?
Sure, absolutely. So you, Costa, might remember, and some in the audience might remember that I've talked about how Visa went from being a closed network to becoming an open platform, open to partnerships. As the payments industry evolves, and it's actually fueled by technological advancements, innovation in both technology, but also in the way new players and disruptors approach problem solving. So partnering in all conceivable directions sits at the core of the Visa Payments Network strategy nowadays. Always obviously aiming to add value to the entire ecosystem as we stay true to the Visa brand promise on trust, security, and the ubiquitous acceptance. Proof of this is actually the fact that we offer a large gamut of partnership programs globally, mainly in 4 categories. I can list them. So solution programs, reseller programs, startup programs, and license programs. In the solutions category, the Visa Ready certification program helps technology companies build and launch payment solutions that can meet Visa's global standards around security and functionality. So the program enables partners to accelerate their growth by providing certification guidelines and access to Visa product and go-to-market tools. The Visa Technology Partners program, through which you can gain access to the information you need to develop products supporting Visa's mobile and chip technologies. That's where one can find registration on licensing requirements for specs, mobile SDKs, software applets, card and acceptance device test tools, but also branding guidelines and other information required for a fintech company to become a Visa technology partner. In the startup programs, which I'm sure our audience might be slightly more interested in, there is the Fintech Fast Track program, which is for companies who are ready to issue cards and have raised at least a Series A or 1 mil USD in funding, with some regional variances there. We're basically making it easy and fast for fintechs to apply to work with Visa. The Visa Everywhere initiative, a global innovation program that tasks startups to solve payment challenges of tomorrow, to further enhance their own product propositions and to provide visionary solutions for Visa's vast network of partners, excuse me. And of course, we have our very own local Visa Greece innovation program. We will be happy to hear back from any of you fintech representatives who are interested to join our third cohort. Maybe I can just close by saying that for the rest of the programs that I mentioned and some more that I haven't, please log on to partner.visa.com, where you can find details, but also clear instructions as to how you can potentially apply to participate.
Thank you, Andreana. We could close the panel. We have one more question from Konstantinos. He asks, are banks working on attaining the flexibility to easily link with and piggyback successful fintech apps, for example, Plum, etc., which it's exactly what we were talking about, the partnership thing. So if it's one of the bank representatives want to comment on this, and in general, how open are you in this kind of partnerships?
Shall I start?
Yeah, I can
okay.
start.
We're very open, but this is not enough. I mean, we think there is a lot of merit in the partnership approach because the startups and the fintechs bring a fresh look. They take what we discussed before, the customer perspectives. They do really well in terms of customer experience. What we banks have to offer is the large customer base. It's not easy at all to build a customer base, and fortunately enough, all the banks have a few million of active customers in Greece. So this is, there is a lot of merit in the partnership. However, there is work still to be done. We're not we're not set up. We're not ready to do that, in the sense that it's very difficult for us, at least in Alpha Bank, to do proof of concepts. So we know how to do implementations, but we don't really know how to test things. And every testing almost ends up being a full implementation. And that we understand brings the fintechs into a difficult position. So there is something for us to develop more. And I think developing sandbox environments, full-blown sandbox, I mean, not just the PSD2 API sandbox, is something that is going to help a lot. And this is something we at Alpha Bank are looking at. On behalf of the fintechs, they need to be prepared. They are facing a different world, the world of incumbents. Of course, where we want to help, we want to collaborate, but they also need to understand our constraints, especially when it comes in terms of regulation or compliance and things like that, or data protection, where we have to be very sensitive and very careful.
Yanni?
Yeah, sure. Fully agree with what Agis has said. Also in Eurobank, we are, I mean, obviously we're already in long collaborations with the major players like Microsoft, Accenture, IBM, just to name a few. While we also have collaborations with smaller fintechs. For example, one example is Finker, that is a Greek startup that we have collaborated very effectively for our account aggregation offering. We are open also, and we are constrained, both in terms of legacy systems that are not necessarily easily suited for, easily exposing the microservices through APIs and stuff like that, that is easy for fintechs to connect to. We're actually working on it. We have in the pipeline for 2021 a project that will develop a sandbox that we will be able to collaborate with startups in a more easy way. Obviously, we need to see, based also on the constraints that we have in terms of capacity and CapEx, exactly what number of APIs we'll be able to offer, but it's something that it is in our plans. A hint that I can give, if I may, to the startups, is that given our size and stage of evolution and also the constraints, I would say, like any Greek bank, we want to be a smart follower. We cannot fundamentally change the banking world. This is not possible for a bank of our size. We want to be able, in collaboration with third parties, to quickly and easily implement innovative new services that either enhance our core offering or act complementary to that, and they can be implemented in an easy way. But in order to do that, it is very important for us that they have been tested somewhere, because this immediately, or maybe not immediately, but more easily, addresses security concerns, regulatory concerns, and things like that, while also it gives a strong indication that they indeed offer a tangible value add to the customers. Obviously, we need to do also on our side the necessary steps to allow easier collaboration with the startups, and that we don't offer so many constraints, or that we don't set so many constraints and roadblocks that practically kill their their innovation spirit. We're working on this front.
Okay, Panagiotis, you have anything to add on this, or
again,
any advice to the startuppers would do?
Okay, I mean, let me kindly elaborate, because it's on the openness, because it's something that we're currently working on. It's obviously working. It's a sine qua non condition for achieving our transformation plan. Okay, and I mean, again, it's a very pragmatic statement. It's not just a statement to create an impression. We want to partner with fintechs to innovate in existing products. At this point in time, we're designing our digital lending journey end to end, back and front. Obviously, it's a very typical example. Obviously, we need to take advantage of all the underwriting developments out there, which have to do with leveraging PSD2 data, machine learning, AI, and so on and so forth. Can we do it by ourselves? Obviously not. You need a fintech to do this. Okay, and the companies we see and the companies we discuss do use the services of fintechs. We need, and we're trying to create a menu of things that will, even outside of the banking or close to banking, many of the payments that will create some difference. Let's suppose we want to add the cryptocurrency element. Can we do it alone? No. Can we recruit people to do it? I believe no. So yeah, the obvious solution is to go to fintechs. And again, they have, at least for us, but I think this is a rule that applies to everyone. I mean, they provide us with new capabilities, design, experience, process systems. They offer us faster speed to market, and things that the delivery risk is less, much less. Things that obviously you cannot, you simply cannot find everywhere. So it's not a matter of openness. For us, it's a matter of I would dare to use the word survivor. We have to be a part of this ecosystem. Now, the advices, to elaborate on the advices, it's a difficult time for startups and for fintechs. The funding is becoming very difficult. So I suppose, and it's the same for all companies and for the banks. I suppose, the cost element is very important, and growth at all costs, which was probably still is to some extent, characteristics of startups, should not be the case anymore, because funding is becoming obviously difficult. There are new norms coming. So if I was to give one advice, there are new norms coming from the pandemic. Many nice things that we hear, the remote working, the digital nomads, which I'm very intrigued by it, collaborative systems. In one phrase, I would say that it is very likely that the new fintech, the new startup that will explode, will most probably grasp a new behavior, or a menu of new behaviors that are a result of the pandemic. So there is no one size fits all advice. It's difficult times. The cost element is very important. Profitability has to be addressed more for all startups generally, and I think fintechs should focus more in the new norms that are here to stay, and with the occasion, not the result, with the occasion of the pandemic.
Great, thanks, Panagiotis. I think we can conclude here our panel. It was a real pleasure to have you all, and we could go on, obviously, but we can. I think we can move to the next session with the fintechs, talking about what they're doing and presenting their use cases. So thank you all by heart for this very interesting discussion. If there is one quote by anyone who would like to close this session, please go ahead. Short quote for the way forward. Otherwise, we'll move to the next session. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Miss Chatzipetrou, a last quote from you.
A last quote from what I heard from our commercial banking system and Andreana and everyone. I'm very happy that the digital transformation in the banking sector is already demystified, and there is only one way forward, as we heard, the fintech, digital technologies. So a quote from our end, as a newly formed development bank, is "Go digital, grow digital." So we look forward for the evolution in the banking sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much,
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Your turn with the 3 startups.
Thank you. After Mrs. Chatzipetrou last comment, the comments of the banks, it was the great, coach to move forward with the real fintechs, the companies which have participated in the Visa Innovation Program, and are the real examples of collaborations with partners of Visa and Visa itself, the success cases of the program. Not only these 3 companies which are in this panel, but also other examples like Plum, which has raised $13 million during the program, Ferry Hopper, who has also raised 2.3 million euros, Linked Business, Stoitchkova, which has also announced their cooperation with Lambda Development yesterday. And without any other delay, I would very much like to thank all the fintechs which waited till now to speak. Give them the speech first to Evangelos Rosetos from Simply, to share their experience about them participating in the Visa Innovation Program and how the program has helped them evolve, how they found their overall experience, and how they managed to proceed with partnerships, POCs in the context of the Visa Innovation Program. So Evangelos, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation, both Visa and the amazing team from Crowdpolicy. The experience was really dynamic. Actually, I'm feeling a bit jealous because I can see that everyone is at home, and but I'm still at the office. The experience was fantastic because we gained immediate access to key stakeholders and the banks. The banks, especially in Greece, are a bit slow-moving organizations that is very difficult to have access, especially when you are a startup. It's very difficult to have access to the key stakeholders in order to present a solution and see what you are doing differently and why you need the cooperation with such a big company like a bank. And in Visa Innovation Program, we had the opportunity to have very friendly meetings with stakeholders that is actually very difficult to find and gain access to them. You know, you have to call them all the time and chase them in order to secure an appointment and finally discuss possible solutions and things like that. So the main pillar for us when participating in the Visa Innovation Program is that during 1 week we had the opportunity to have a meeting with all the major Greek banks. That was great and was a very good opportunity. The second very important thing about Visa Innovation Program was that the participant banks and startups were willing to hear and examine collaboration, especially in the day-to-day operation, which everyone is very busy and focused on his very own personal and corporate tasks. It's not in a momentum of hearing and examining potential partnerships or solution. So this was the second very important note for the Visa Innovation Program. As our participation was fantastic, we created an amazing contactless acceptance solutions with Piraeus Bank. It's fantastic to say that last week moved from the phase of proof of concept, and by the time we are here, this solution serves actual customers in the market. For those who don't know, simply it's just the web-based cash register, and for sure it's more than a simple cash register. It's a platform that opens the door to digital transformation to small retailers, incorporating an inventory management solution, e-commerce, omni-channel, and for sure payments. Our solution to date works very fine. It's great. We got amazing feedback regarding the banking needs of the retailers during the meetings we secured through the Visa Innovation Program, and the overall experience was useful, fantastic, and at last but not least inspiring.
Thank you very much, Evangelos, because you're really the vivid example of a startup participating in the program and showcasing the value that this program can give, not only for mentorships and workshops, but also with real examples of cooperations. And thank you for waiting till now in the office to have the chance to pitch about your experience and your participation. And of course, we also have here Elena and Niklas. And Nikla, if I may, I will give the speech to Elena, who is also a lady. And
of course.
Thank you very much. And represents Giving Streets. It is a good time to also announce another cooperation from the program, a very fresh cooperation, may I say.
Yes, thank you, Vicky. Thank you for inviting us. I will second Evangelos in saying, indeed, Crowdpolicy has an amazing team who has done extraordinary work during the Visa Innovation Program and still does. Let me start by saying in a nutshell what Giving Streets does. It is an application that enables cashless donations to vulnerable groups, such as homeless people or families in need, and to the charities or other organizations that support these groups. And we achieve that by giving a QR code card to the beneficiaries, and through the app, all the donor has to do is scan the QR code, choose the amount, and donate. Our application was just launched in Google Play last week, thanks to the collaboration that happened during the Visa Innovation Program with the Piraeus Bank as well. We are online, so anyone who wants to try our platform and make a donation can do so. For the moment, the donations are only addressed to Praxis, which is our pilot charity, a charity that provides humanitarian support to vulnerable individuals and has embraced our idea from the very beginning. Our experience from the Visa Innovation Program was also very fruitful and very rewarding. We benefited a lot from all the workshops and the mentoring sessions. Right from the start, what we identified as our weak point was our lack of knowledge regarding regulatory and payments issues. And through the program, we gained valuable experience on these two aspects. Based on our experience, we pivoted our original idea to comply with the current regulations. Of course, we came to the partnership with Piraeus Bank and managed to make our idea a reality in the Greek market. What I would say is the biggest gain of the program is the fact that we met and collaborated with amazing people from various domains, people who believed in our idea and dedicated time to mentor us and support us. Please allow me to mention especially Mr. George Panou from Melon Technologies, who helped us from the very beginning and still does. He was actually the first user of our application. He made the first donation on the very first day, and we thank him for that.
Perfect.
Yes, and of course, again, I have to thank the Crowdpolicy team for everything you've done for us, and you still do.
Thank you very much for this. It is nice to meet and gain from all of you and have you participating in the programs, and also see you evolving through that time, and also have you as alumni in the program, and keep our collaborations in the future as well. And Niklas, what about you? What about you and Quandable? Niklas Palagias, co-founder of Quandable. Would you like to share with our audience your experience from Visa Innovation Program?
Yes, for sure. I will for sure agree with Evangelos and Elena. We had also an amazing, great experience throughout the program, and we're still having. So about the traction a bit, what we had, first of all, we managed to have some meetings with Visa and two of the 4 biggest banks in Greece to explore potential for proof of concepts. We had some meetings with the VCs in Greece to put the solid grounds for our seed investment. Something that I wanted to touch on regarding what Gergana and you, Vicky, said before, that the program is tailored to the startup, and we really felt that from the beginning, even from the first day where the cohort began. You guys asked us what are our needs, how we can benefit from the Visa Innovation Program. So it was a fully tailored program to our startup, and this was really important for us. So our main pain point was the business development part. So you gave us some great mentors, especially Mr. Nicola. He's like, we couldn't ask a better mentor than him from Jamalta Tales. He guided us a lot in the business development part, and he introduced us also to Mr. Stefanos Karapetsis, which he's like our VP of sales now. He has become part of our team. He has extraordinary background in the business development part in banking. And he has a huge track record. So yeah, we couldn't ask for a best person to join our team. I would like also to thank Giorgos Gatos. He helped us a lot for in validating our business development strategy, in making us understand better which are the marketing approaches that fit better to our business. I would like also to thank Mr. Xinarianos, that he helped us a lot on expanding our product and enhancing our product with additional value. And finally, sorry?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I would like also to thank you, Vicky, Kostas, and Mariana. You guys have been endlessly supporting us throughout the program, and you continue until now. So thank you very much for this. Yeah, it has been a real pleasure. For us, it doesn't feel that the program has ended, to be honest.
You're still alumni.
You are.
All of you. I mean, all three. So don't worry. We'll keep in touch with you. I think also Andreana is here.
Yes.
Still on a panel. Andreana, would you like to say something to our to the teams and slowly close this this webinar?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Well, I mean, from my perspective, all I can do is thank you. Thank you for bringing in innovative thinking and completely disruptive problem-solving kind of ways of approaching things. This is definitely what we need. I'm really happy to hear that you were able to leverage this platform, this program in the way that you have. The alumni community, as we grow and evolve this program, it gets more important as kind of time passes, and as you achieve all sorts of goals of yours. So I can only thank you. I can also tell you that we are all here for you as alumni. We do hope you will continue to promote our program so that we can get many more really fantastic fintechs and startups like yourselves. Basically, I would like to thank everyone in this audience for their participation, for their engagement, for their interest. And of course, thank the Crowdpolicy team, our partners, for everything that they continuously do and for putting together yet another fantastic virtual event. I have to say once again, I really do look forward to these events becoming physical.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All of us, yeah, we totally agree. And yeah, I think we can close the event here. It's Tiknopenti, don't forget.
Yes,
Yes, happy
go in-
Tiknopempi. I forgot to say that.
Yes.
I meant to say that.
Yeah. Smoked, I don't know, smoked Thursday, whatever.
Barbecue Thursday, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
So,
very much for attending.
Thank you, Andreana, for staying and for all your support throughout the program. We're looking forward for the next one, all of us. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and we'll connect also in the next webinar. We'll keep on organizing this kind of virtual events because it's important for the ecosystem and the whole activation of the fintechs and all the partners, actually. So thank you. Good night. And see you at the next Fintech Fast Forward meetup. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, George. Bye. Bye, Elena.